Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode. We are bringing you another one of our conversations with a favorite guest of ours, none other than Azircon. Quick acknowledgement to Aqualis and shout out to Crypto Eater. He saw a region go up for sale within the last couple of days and transacted that region. I think he mentioned that he was up till 4 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, trying to negotiate the deal. And honestly, I can't tell you that I've ever seen a region pass hands since I've been here. So that was cool and cool to see what he's trying to do with it. So shout out to Aqualis, still offering that 70% rebate on all Rebellion cards. So go take a look at the market. Without further ado, welcome back, Azircon. Long time no speak, man.
Good friend of the podcast, Azircon.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here, and thank you for having me. So that's very good. So just starting straight away with that thought about region going up for sale, I have seen a region went for sale back in the days in wax. So I don't know if you remember. I think you were onboarded back then. We used to have several things going with wax blockchain, and we would have cards there. People will buy assets there, and I think at that time, couple of tracts and a region went for sale at wax. But that's pretty much the time it was launched. So it's a long time ago. I haven't heard anything recently. So I would be interested in knowing the price.
That was Gold Matter's first inquiry, and Crypto Eater's pleading the fifth. He said, no, thank you.
Keep confidentiality.
Obviously, nobody willing to discuss price for something like that. So, yeah. And that reminds me of something else. Back in the day, and Aggie was in the full hype mode back in the day, right? And he said, "Oh, something like $1 million would be great." So that would be a life-changing amount for a price of a region. So
yeah, a region did sell for $750,000 at one point, didn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Wasn't that much?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, for something like this, it would be very difficult to verify the price of something this illiquid. So,
yeah, I remember when I first started playing the game, and the number of the first plots I bought were on wax. I did buy them on wax because I think that was the only place that you could buy them, because the Splinter games didn't have those assets in market. I guess you could buy them on Hive Engine as well. But yeah, I wasn't as familiar with Hive Engine at the time, and wax just had like that much better like interface and everything. And I would buy cards there because sometimes you could find cards you wanted cheaper. I bought my first land plots there. I think there were like regions. I want to say they were on sale for like $150,000 or something at the time. There was like one up for sale. But yeah, I haven't been on. Do they still have that market on wax? I haven't been on there. Why? I should sort of log in. I could probably have like $20 in wax on that account. I just don't even know
it. Right. And you might get something for cheap because, wax value dropped just like anything else. So who knows what's the relative prices? People who have listed a few things there, sometimes they have forgotten it. Like I know I have forgotten it. Like, I have listed something like a gold foil mylar there, like a couple of gold foil mylar I listed there, and then I've forgotten that I have listed there, and then the wax price dropped, and some got sold for like pennies.
Yeah.
And then I removed everything.
Yeah, that's what I would do with land, because I would do you could buy wax when it was like really low, and then wait for it, because there was like those wild swings at the time, and then it would swing up like 30-40% in a day, and then you'd wait as soon as people reset their price to the lower amount, and it's like you got it for 30% of as long as you could time it right, which it was weird. There were like these just 30-40% swings up and down of wax, like almost rhythmically, and you could be like, all right, it's down 30%, I'm going to buy, I'll wait a week and it's going to go up 30-35%, and then I'll buy land. And that's kind of what I did for my first couple plots. Still definitely bought them at much more of a premium above what they're going for today, but at the time it seemed smart.
No, there are several people I know, people from Southeast Asia. They would back then, people would do this wax trading, just like you described, back and forth, like multiple times during the week, and would essentially make living out of it. So so, but nothing like this, like a selling of a region, has happened anytime recently. So that's definitely newsworthy. So thank you for sharing that. So that's very good.
Yeah,
have you
cool.
Looked at the usage of land recently, Azircon? I know you sent us before that we were about like 10%. So have you checked that number more recently? Has it gone up so much?
I asked that question yesterday, and I did not get an answer. So the short answer is no. I have not. So let me. Can I share my screen real quick?
Yes, you may.
But it would be easier if I share and talk through it. And you'll help me describe, and you can describe yourself. Let's see. Let me try it one more time. Share screen. Let's see if this works. Share. Okay. So can you guys see this?
Yep.
All right. So this should look familiar to you, right? This is the my land plots, essentially. So let's see if I can zoom in a little bit so that you can see it a little bit better. And as you can see currently, and this is just me, right? I am at about 20%. So I have three different, so I have a tract. I have a tract in region 9. I have the full region 10, and I have 15 plots in region 47. So those 15 plots, that's kind of a, an outlier. I have all of them working. I have the region 10, about 20% working, which is, most of the plots are there. That's 1,000 plots. And then region 9, I have, 12%, but that's not a good reflection because I have a few grain plots that are getting cleared. So that will also be about 20% by the time we're done. So that's just me in particular. Okay. So first of all, I have some thoughts, but what are you guys thinking from looking at this?
I mean, I think that seems like pretty good for where we're at now, based on the amount of holdings you have. I mean, are you planning to say, hey, this is kind of it, or are you planning to slowly increase, a plot or two a week to get you closer up to, 50% or 40%?
Yeah, so that's a good thought and good point. And I think the way I see, and this is just from past experience, that I am about average. Whatever I do in land, in the game, it's sort of about kind of becomes an average. So I do not have data to back this. And there will be an issue with calculating percentages, right? Because there are still empty plots, unclaimed plots, like people haven't claimed all the plots yet. All the regions are not claimed yet. But those that are claimed, I think the average right now would be near 20%, between 15 and 20%. That's by talking to other people. There are some people who are higher than that, some people who are lower than that, and it averages out. So there are a couple of things I want you to understand from this is, so right now I have, let's just talk about region 10, because that's the main region for me. And notice the amount of DEC it requires to field 200 plots. And that's 10 million. So 10 million DEC at PEG is $10,000, right? That's one of the barriers, right? That is not only now. Aggie and Matt will always say that, oh, you are not really spending that DEC. That DEC is with you. You just have it staked, have it blocked. But for all practical purposes, you still have to, if you don't have, a stash of DEC under your carpet, which I don't think anybody does at this point, you still have to buy that DEC from the market, and just go try buying DEC from the market now and see what happens and how easy it is to do that. So buying 10 million DEC from the market right now is very difficult. Very difficult without moving the price. So I think for now that would be the barrier. Not only for me, but for most people, because it's not easy to buy DEC. So I actually have a trader who trades for me, as needed. So, and he runs bots and other things. So I usually, there is no way for me to buy, like I cannot go physically to the market and buy 10 million DEC.
Yeah.
So I have him buy that amount slowly over time from various market and just send it to me. That's how.
Sorry, again, have you given any thought to, I know you're someone with a lot of staked SPS, is probably getting a good amount on a daily basis in staking rewards that are liquid for SPS. Have you given any thought to burning that SPS for DEC as a way to get some of this at the peg price and not have to go through all these loopholes or hurdles to get it and worry about the price fluctuations? Because we've been sitting at peg for DEC for a while. I think it slipped just under it a little bit yesterday, but it's kind of typically been a little bit over it the last week or so. So have you given any thought to that of maybe I should be burning some of my SPS as a good way to convert that to DEC?
So people have asked me this question, and this has been discussed a lot. I know Aggie does it that way, but Aggie has a lot of SPS, a lot more than I do, right? So my thought process is, at these prices, like right now we're at about 3 cents. 3 cents, 10 cents, even 20 cents, I will never do that. And that is simple reason being, in my mind, my expectation of fair value of SPS is higher than 20-25 cents, at least. So until we hit that point, there is no way I will be burning SPS for a DEC. I will try to scrounge whatever I can from the market. Because if you are patient, if you have some kind of automation, you will be able to buy DEC at peg. The goal is to buy at peg or slightly below peg, right? So that is possible still to do. You just cannot do it all at the same, like you cannot buy 1 million DEC at a time, because the market will move. If you do that, market will move. So right now, that is not an option.
Azircon, I look at these numbers and I'm looking at, kind of the full equation. Obviously, 1,000 plots in a region, that's 50 million DEC that's required to get the whole thing, pumping and in action. And I have to wonder, granted, we've known that this is going to be the cost for firing up per plot of land for, ages. And we watched DEC go from 60% to peg to 70% to peg. And, there was a lot of liquid DEC floating around until the last, 2 months, 3 months. I think that shout out to that burning event for putting a big dent in the liquid DEC, but even that didn't get it, pushed to peg consistently. So thinking about that 50 million DEC requirement and thinking about, some of the land whales out there, guys like yourself and Matt Clark and Vugtis and Cryptomancer, has the thought crossed your mind to shed some weight in terms of all of this vacant land, or are you kind of biding your time waiting to see what happens with land surfing? What's given all the things that's going on at the moment, and that you've got 75% of your region sitting unoccupied, all right, has that crossed your mind to kind of move the other side of the equation to bump up your overall percentage of utilization?
Right. So in other words, simply you are talking about selling some of the plot, right?
Correct. Or working. That's it. Yeah. Or working a deal with, somebody to kind of get a front run on land surfing, something like that.
Right. So mind you, people who has cards. So there are two things you need to run this essentially land business. One is cards and one is DEC. These are the two things you need, right? And of course you need the land. So right now you mentioned people like Vugtis, Matt Clark. I know all of these individuals and I kind of know their situations. Vugtis, for example, has the most DEC. So he's not going to be out there trying to buy a DEC. Matt Clark, you guys have talked to Matt fairly recently. Matt is of the opinion of slow and steady. He mentioned it in the podcast. So he will turn plots on as he will have DEC from whichever means. He has the cards. So he's not in any kind of rush. He will maybe turn on one plot a week for the next foreseeable future. So different people have these different goals. So my point is, people with the card have already used their card to the best of their ability. Either if they have the DEC, they have already put it in land, and if they don't, they are playing it, renting it, holding on to it in expectation of having DEC and putting them on land. So from my point of view, so this is others, and this is my guess, right? I do not know. Matt and Vugtis, I kind of know, but a lot of others I do not know. I haven't spoken to every single one of them. My point of view, to answer your question directly, I am not planning on selling anything. And here is my reason. The moment I am, first of all, I'm not a good seller. I'm an excellent buyer, and that's just me. I am a terrible seller. I am not like that's true with my houses. Like I bought many houses and I barely able to sell any, so I put them on rent. So I have the same method that I am going to do for land and this game in general. I am looking for income. And this is one of the things I wanted to discuss with you guys, because I don't think this has been discussed enough. So my thought process is, whatever I have invested in the game and land, I am considering all of it as sunk cost. All of it is sunk. Okay. I won't be able to get my cards back, and I won't be able to sell my land easily in any term in near future. That's my thought process. So since I cannot do that, I consider all of that sunk. That cost is sunk. So therefore, since that is, and I am one of the people who likes to do point forward economics. Point forward economics means whatever you have spent in the past, that's all sunk, right? They do not exist. It's always this point forward, how much money you are going to make on whatever that you have. So the way I am thinking, if you look at these numbers, let's just take one region. This region number 10, I have 10 million DEC. We're going to ballpark it. We're going to round up heavily. We have 10 million DEC in this region. The cards are sunk cost. I cannot move or sell the cards. Cards are whatever it is right now, right? And I have turned on 226 plots. So let's see how much my earning is. So I'm going to go to my SPS thing, and I'm describing as I speak. So each day from my land, I get about 1,000 SPS, right? So 10 million DEC invested, 10 million DEC is $10,000. 10 million DEC invested for me is generating about 1,000 SPS per day. So 1,000 SPS per day. So we are going to assume 30 cents, right? 3 cents, sorry. 1,000 SPS per day times 0.031, which is what we are currently doing. So 31 SPS per day times 365 days. That is, that did not work out right? So 31 SPS per day times 300, sorry, $31
a
per
day. You're 31 cents.
Yeah.
$31
No,
a day.
$31
Yeah.
a day. They times 365. Oops.
So you're over 100%.
365.
You're over 100% APY there, basically.
Right. So
it's about 11 grand. Yeah.
Right. So it gives me, at this flat price, from now, I do not, I'm not calculating any price appreciation, which most people expect, because if we have our flywheel working, we should have some price appreciation. But even if there is no price appreciation, and this is the average price, so price can be less than this, price can be slightly higher than this, but if this is the average price, it is $11,000 a year for a $10,000 down. That is the angle I am looking at, which, if you think about an ROI perspective, is an excellent ROI. Now, it's totally not true, right? Because in order to have 200 plots running, I have to field them with cards, and they have value. Like, you do not have cards worth, whatever that five cards that is needed for this. But mind you, all of this, so the other stat that we need to look at, by the way, I also get,
wow,
3,500.
Mine doesn't move that like that.
Yes, it doesn't. it doesn't. So that's the other thing. So I did this calculation too. So in this page, you can do all the calculations. So this is as you can see, this is moving in real time.
Yeah.
So I have this is I
just
make
for everyone,
about
just for everyone listening, we're looking at Azircon's staking rewards in the game panel, and the number of vouchers and the number of SPS he's getting is like ticking over. It reminds me of like one of those, like when you see like one of those like US like national debt clocks that's like constantly rolling forward. So.
Or world population, or
exactly
world population.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is constantly rolling. So this is about what I get for a day, about 3,000. And then, this is my battle reward. So that's about 1,000. This is my I have 15 licenses. So I get about 500 and 572. So I add all of this up,
Don't forget about your nightmare rewards pack, that 0.5.
Well, I just got some 3. I do not have any nightmare. Somebody gifted me 3 nightmare packs, and I get some SPS from that. So, if I just do a straight add, so 3,000 plus 1,000, that's 4,000. 4,000 plus 1,000 is 5,000. 5,500. So let's say 5,000. So I earn about 5,000 SPS per day, right? So which is a lot, 5,000 SPS per day. And a lot of this is more or less constant because the staking increases very slightly now. So when staking increases, this reward drops.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? This has been constant when the modern battle started. This has been more or less constant for a long time. Mind you, I also have 2 other accounts. 2 scholars play these accounts, so they earn also from that. So the reason I get to this level is because of this, right? I have 8.5 million SPS staked, right? So I have, this is the staked SPS. So I have 8.5 million staked, and that gives you, about 10% APR. The 3% comes from voucher. I don't really calculate the vouchers. So bottom line, if I think about all of this as sunk cost, right, just from the game itself, without selling anything, without thinking about any rewards, I can easily get about 5,000 SPS a day. So again, I'm going to pull out my calculator, 5,500. 5,500 times 365, that's 2 million SPS times 0.031. So that's $60,000, right? That's $60,000. And we are still at the depth of the bear market, right? So if I think about it from just an income perspective, this, and if I add my Hive income, I make about $100 a day from Hive curation. So $100 a day, that's a very simple calculation, 365. So that's, $36,000 a year. So that's $100,000. So right now, if we think about no growth, steady price, average steady price at the present price, with all my investment in this ecosystem, I typically make about $100,000 a year, which, in Houston standard is a pretty decent salary, right? And if you think about an investment, any kind of investment with about 8 to 10% return, and then, you have to pay taxes on it. So, boils down to about 7% return. You need $1 million investment to get, $70,000, $80,000 return per year on the market, right? Basically, a simple mutual fund or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I have not invested $1 million into this ecosystem. I mean, I do not know exactly how much I invested because over the years it has changed and, it's slowly at a time. So in terms of just an ROI perspective, the bull case I am trying to make at this depth of the bear market. Now, it is arguable, would you want to call it the depth of the bear market, or we are slightly above the depth? Yeah, that's fine, that's fair. But I just wanted to give this perspective, and I don't think people share numbers like this. But I am very comfortable sharing this number because this is all public information anyway. Anybody with a little bit of time can look my account up or look anybody's account up and get this information. But mind you, in land, I have only calculated or only counted the SPS. I have not counted the grain. I have not counted the research point and anything that is coming in future. None of this is counted for. So in theory, if you are thinking about it, you can argue, okay, not everyone will have a stake of my size. But if you think about my production numbers, again, all that production, all that SPS production is actually coming from 43 plots. Have you seen that? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what, 25% of 250? Yeah, 20%.
Let's say 20. Let's say 200.
Yeah.
200 round up. 200 plots I have turned on. But all the income, all the SPS income is actually coming from 40 plots. Now, you can say, okay, I can go ahead and buy or, whatever, 40 occupied plots. First of all, it's not easy to buy 40 occupied plots. And they're quite expensive. And then you are going to say, okay, I am about grain neutral, as you saw from my other number, right? Where is the grain? Here, this is the grain number. So my grain requirement is 22,600 per hour, and my grain production is 23,000 per hour. So I'm grain neutral approximately. So, but if you turn on 43 plots or 40 plots, SPS mining, you would need grain for that. You'd need 20,000 grain per hour, right? So, or 25,000 grains per hour. So, if you take 20,000 grains per hour, again, we're going to get our calculator out, 23,000 grains per hour times 24 hours. So that's 500,000 grains per hour. So 500,000 grains per day. So you need to either purchase 500,000 grains per day, or you have to produce 500,000 grains per day.
So it's pretty much 2.5 grain plots for every occupied plot is kind of how it's looking.
Yeah, about. But
and it's it. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you do not have to generate 500,000 grain. You can buy 500,000 grains from the market. Grain currently, you can buy 1 million grain for 50,000 DC now in the growing P2P market. So, I was talking to, several people in the chat, and let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so this guy says, I ask, are you buying and holding grain? And says, just to farm SPS, grain is cheap on the market, so why waste resource on farming grain? So I say, good point. 50K DC gives you 1 million grain. An epic plot with max beta common generates 700 grains per hour with a common totem, 17K grain per day, 58 days to break even. In these 58 days, you can potentially play those 5 beta cards. So, just to calculate break even. So in other words, the point is it is pretty cheap to buy grain. So that's the other thought process.
Is this the price? I wonder how much the price per grain is actually stable, given the leaks of the 2.0 white paper that we've seen. Obviously, a lot of all of the natural resource plots now are involved in grain production, but that landscape is going to change entirely as soon as we get 2.0 released.
All right, so I will answer it. Are you still sharing my screen? I'm sharing my Discord. Do you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to Splinterland. And I don't know if you guys go to this channel or not. This channel is called Buy Sell Channel. Have you been there?
I've seen it, but I don't check it out.
You just pet. Yeah, there you go.
Buy Sell Channel, right? There you go. Crypto Eater. Selling
we know that guy.
Selling grains for 0.049, minimum 500K purchase. There you go. I rest my case. Yesterday at 2:35 a.m. Selling DC at peg, selling totems. He's selling everything that you want to buy. So yeah.
Look at this sales pitch. Selling totems, many totems of all rarities from all the world. Oh, nice, man.
Right, there you go. So if you look in here, there are so many people selling grains at 0.05. So many people. So this is currently this is pretty standard. And so is time crystal. So I bought 3.2 million DC worth of time crystal from Vaktis. Well, Vaktis has a lot of time crystal, right? And Vaktis card collection is so big, he doesn't really need time crystals. He has powerful cards, so he turns on a plot in a couple of days, so he doesn't need time crystal. Me, I on the contrary, I am buying reward cards from the market for $4 a piece, $4 a max rare piece. So if I don't use time crystal, it'll take me like a magical plot. It'll take me a month to clear. So I cleared them instantly using a time crystal so that, I can grow immediately. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'm going back to the Splinterland page and I'm going back to land. Have you seen the leaderboard?
I haven't looked at that, no.
Okay, so this is the leaderboard and this is in my territory, which is pristine Northwest. Look at some of the grain some of the people are holding. That is 13 million grain at number 1 spot. 13 million.
Wow.
And it is
a lot of grain.
This guy, redundancy 4040, is generating 60,000 grains per hour from this region alone. Region 2 alone is generating 60,000 grains per hour. Okay. Fantasy Crypto generating from 2 regions, generating 50,000 grains per hour. Michael B from 1 region generating 18,000 grains per hour, holding 4 million grains. So if you look at overall, I think redundancy is still at the top. Hive Engine, that's Aggie, right? Hive Engine holds 22 million grains. Central Fire generating 35,000 grains per hour. Now notice Hive Engine, most likely Aggie is going to create the grain pool and is going to populate the grain pool with this grain. So that's why generating a lot of grain. But so my point being, and you can consider Hive Engine as a company, SPS well as a company, but even individuals, Brydro is generating 3 different plots in 3 different regions, generating 30,000 grains per hour, owning 16 million grain. There are a lot of grain out there, guys.
Yeah. I know, I was thinking, oh, it's good to have some surplus grain, and when you're able to sell it, you can kind of, try to dump it before the price drops too much. But it looks like a lot of people probably have that thought there. I mean, yeah, grain is probably gonna be really cheap.
Well, it is already pretty cheap.
Yeah.
It is already pretty cheap, but you will need it. You will need more of it. So that's the value. So, bottom line, I think as a whole, I hope I have been able to show you some numbers and some value proposition here. So I don't know, there are too many places in Web3 gamings out there where you can actually show value proposition like this without talking about sale.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked about selling anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering, so in the 2.0 white paper, or the leaks, I should say, I believe it was, right now we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 different land types. And I believe that grain production was restricted to 3 of the land types. Yes. So that is to say that we're going to lose pretty much 80% of production grain production numbers once 2.0 comes out. There's been nothing said around like an expiration on grain or anything like that, right? It's
no.
Yeah, it's good for as long as you hold it.
Yeah, so, and I think it's not clear, but I think those are the areas, the forest, the jungle, the plains, where you produce grain. But if you have other territories that you are already producing grain right now, I think you will continue, if you choose to, you can continue to produce grain. You are just not going to get it optimized. You are not going to get, let's say you have a mountain region which is better for mining or doing quarry, and ideally you want to do mining there, or do a rock quarry there. Currently you are producing grain there. I think you can continue to produce grain and choose not to produce rocks or other stuff.
You're just going to be hit with a multiplier, right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Just like currently, right? You can choose to your magical plot. You can farm, you can mine SPS there. You can make grains there in your magical plot, but you get 100% boost on research. So it is your benefit to make research there and do the grain in the grain plot and do the SPS mine in the occupied plot.
Sure. Do you, so a man who does not make predictions, Azircon, all of these leaks of the 2.0 white paper and kind of I guess the approach that Matt goes about talking about all of this stuff that's coming down the pipeline with 2.0. Do you care to place a date in mind in terms of how far out do you think we realistically are from 2.0 coming into production?
The later the better for me.
The later the better.
The later the better for me, right? The later it is. See, I have 200 plots turned on. So that means I have 800 plots that is not turned on. And why I don't have turn on? Because either I do not have time or do not have resources, or in this case, both, right? I do not have resources, meaning I do not have cards. You see, I still hold about 3 million DC. So I have some DC. I can populate with 3 million, 50 each. So
60 plots.
Number? 60 plots. I can populate 60 plots, but that is 60 times 5.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of cards.
Max cards.
That's a lot of cards.
I do not have 300 max cards. I can probably get the beta cards from my Scholar accounts. I still have them. But that is also only going to be about 100 cards. I can pull all the untamed cards and have my Scholars play only modern. But even that would be, maybe 100 more cards. So there is no, and then I would lose revenue on the gameplay.
Sure. Yeah, it's almost worth just waiting. Hopefully we get 1.6 relatively soon, which opens up the the new frontier that is land surfing. I feel like for you big dogs, that's going to be an ultimate game changer. We've heard Matt Clark talk about trying to work deals, and if you come and stake on my land, I'm going to give you a year of free reign sort of thing. Yeah, it's interesting, man. And Azircon, I kind of want to. Was there anything else grain land DEC related that you guys want to talk about specific to land?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I given you're obviously strapped for not only cards but also DEC, and the easy way is to push for. You're in an interesting position being, one of the bigger whales in the game. You've therefore got a much more heavily weighted SPS staked vote when it comes to proposals. And we have an absolute surplus of DEC. I think the SPS DAO is now the top holder of DEC in the Splinterlands ecosystem. And there's a huge bank of it. I think it's 1.3 billion is the number, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So it would be very easy for you to say, open the floodgates, let's get DEC back into the market. Yeah, you just published an article stating, actually, you want to see that DEC burned.
Yes.
So I think, on the surface, it's easy to see, that benefits the whole ecosystem, therefore is going to benefit us longer term, and more specifically going to benefit you longer term. Would you mind sharing your thought process to reaching that decision, Azircon? Why are you so adamant that 1.3 billion DEC that is in the DAO's possession should go nowhere but to the incinerator and be burned?
Right. So that's a relatively short post. And by the way, that is not just my view. That is the current view of multiple large stakeholders in the game, including Matt's. So if you read that post, I have quoted Matt there. I have quoted Vaktis there. There is a comment by Dave McCoy there. You can read that comment. And Dave is aligned, and there are several other people who are aligned with my thought process. So when I say that DEC that is in the DAO currently, from my perspective, it is already burned. It is already burned. Burning meaning what? Burning just means pushing it to null. And that is permanently out of circulation. Leaving the DEC in the DAO right now, that 1.3 billion DEC and more is being added as we do pack sell, because we get 50% of the revenue in DEC. More and more is getting into the DAO, and effectively, for my perspective and for everybody's, for the near term, it is out of circulation. And out of circulation is what you want right now. That is the flywheel. you make DC out of circulation. So you make the effective market of DC very thin, which is what I was explaining in the beginning, that I was trying to buy DC and it is very difficult to do that. So, you have to buy small amount at a time, or, which takes a long time, or you have to burn SPS. That is the only two ways of getting DEC. If you burn SPS, you drop the circulation of SPS. You are basically losing the float of SPS. That helps with the SPS price. We all are SPS stakeholder. We all own certain amount of SPS. If SPS goes up, everything goes up. All our values, all our asset values increases. And DEC remains at peg, and therefore we have the flywheel. And that's the concept. I also said at the very end of the post, and for a lot of people, burning money that is worth $1, approximately $1, 1,000 DC is $1, so it has a fixed or near fixed price. It's very difficult for them to palate that. People think, okay, that is like money in the bank. Why are we burning money in the bank? Why wouldn't we use that money to get some goods and services, some benefits? Okay? That's the main problem. If you use that money, what you will end up doing, you will have to sell it. The moment you will have to sell it, that gets added to the float. It's coming out in the open, and therefore increasing the supply, and goes in the opposite direction of flywheel, and which is something that we do not want. We want this flywheel to be operational so that this improves the price of SPS higher and higher. Now, imagine a situation where SPS is $1. If SPS is $1, DAO is flooded with cash. DAO also owns 53 million SPS right now. 53 million SPS is $53 million at that time. And during this entire time, DAO will have more and more DEC, and potentially, depending on other sale, other deals, even more SPS. So we'll be flooded with cash at that time. And at that time, we can maybe think about a small project to, pay for using DEC, maybe a million DEC worth of a project we can do, or 2 million or 10 million. But that is way down into the future. And that's the direction I'm heading.
What would you think about, so I can see both sides. I see why some of the community feels a bit burned by not getting anything out of the Rebellion deal. Feels a bit burned by not getting anything out of the Riftwatchers deal. Anything that's pumping DEC into the DAO. Yes, as the community, we're gaining value by pulling DEC out of circulation, but we're not seeing any immediate value for that DEC. So what would you think about something along the lines of, I don't know, perhaps offering, maybe we could set up tournaments or brawls to include guild power as rewards, and therefore anytime these guild power rewards are handed out, if X guild power is handed out as prizes, X DEC gets burned from the DAO. Do you feel like that's a fair compromise? Is there something to that?
So let me ask a clarification question back. You made two comments, and one comment was a large amount of community feels they did not get anything back from the Riftwatcher deal or Riftwatcher sale. What do you mean by that exactly? What didn't they get?
I just mean the DEC that we receive in exchange for Riftwatchers packs, and by we I mean the DAO. Obviously that DEC is getting locked up, and now we're talking about, instead of redistributing it, burning it.
So again, I will see, this is very easy to answer this question. So I will prove you wrong, and will say that community did get a lot back. Why? Because at the beginning of the Riftwatcher sale, SPOS was trading at 0.015, and it is trading at 0.03. The reason it is doing that, because we have moved that much DEC from the circulation and effectively burned. I think we can go to Splinterlands and look at the total amount of SPS burned, but I think it's in the 33 million, 35 million range.
It just passed 36. Yeah.
36, exactly.
Just quick clarification. You mean at the start of Rebellion, right? Because I mean, at the start of Rift Watchers, I think
right. No,
SPS was at
Rift Watcher was a different deal.
Yeah.
Rift Watcher is a different deal, right? Rift Watcher was SPS only.
Yeah.
Rebellion was DEC only.
Okay.
So I am going to say, since the launch of Rift Watcher, which is not that far back into the future, community is paid handsomely by 100% rally in SPS. And that is only possible due to this flywheel mechanism. So that would be my argument for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Azircon. I think we put up, I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 250K in stable coins that we paid for the Splinterlands dev team to undertake Rebellion. I think everybody openly acknowledges that it was a sweetheart deal, right? We got hooked up. But now that DEC is just sitting there, I'm trying to appease the folks, and I'm not taking sides here. I'm just pitching ideas. Offering something like guild power, for example, where the DEC gets burned in exchange for distributing guild power on the other side. Do you feel like that would be a compromise to folks who are in the camp where they feel like they're left empty-handed?
So again, the simple thing, I'm going to make it very simple. Anybody who is thinking that they are left out, you will please them by giving them money, right? And there are two ways. Everybody wants to be rich, right? You want more money. Everybody wants more money. Absolutely. And you can either give them a token that has no value or limited value, or you can give them a higher price. I am of the opinion, always give them higher price. If I can double the SPS price from here, if I can double the SPS price in 1 month, do you think that is better for the people who are left out?
I feel like most folks would have to agree, double my SPS bag. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm offering.
I definitely understand that, appreciate that. But I mean, you're a guy clearly talking about, you've got, a lot of, your finances in a lot of different places, right? You don't have it all in Splinterlands or all in SPS or all in DEC. And, I think, isn't there a reasonable point to be made that we should, we had stable coins, we put that into the team, we've gotten some of this DEC back, and now should we burn it all? Should we at least convert some of that back into stable coins? Should we try to take some of the DEC and diversify it a little bit for the better health of the DAO in the long run, as opposed to just burning it all and trying to pump the price of SPS, which it would be great, and we all want SPS to go up, but we want the DAO to be stable in the long run as well. And that's putting all our eggs in a very speculative basket that SPS is going to be up and remain up and not going to start to fall back down, because, we're still printing a bunch of SPS. We're still, there's still constantly that, inflationary aspect of SPS after all these airdrops going on and land and rewards from battles. And so therefore, maybe we should diversify it a little bit, and maybe we should, move it around some more so that we have, the DAO on a stronger footing, moving forward, and not just constantly worried about how are we going to get the price of SPS up to $1.
Yes. So that's a very popular opinion out there, right? People have been talking about this diversification of stablecoin assets of the DAO, and there is nothing wrong with that thought process. The thought process, the only question is when. Do we do it now, or do it one year from now, or 2 years from now? That is really the question. And the downside of doing it now, again, no matter what you do with the DAO DEC, you are going to have to sell it. Let's say you want to buy USDC, or I just chose USDC because that's a stable coin, right? You can choose any other stable coin. If you want to buy USDC, how are you going to buy USDC? You have to sell that DEC to diversify into USDC. The moment you start selling DEC, even if you do it by small amount, you are going to hit the other side of the flywheel, right? You are going to increase the float of DEC, and you are going to increase. You are not decreasing the float of SPS. Mind you, we are not speculating on the price of SPS. We are not, because not only we should not do it, it would be illegal to do it. And why? Splinterland created two coins, SPS and DEC. And you can say DAO is different from Splinterland, yes, but only very recently, and there is still a lot of things that are common. We cannot say that they are two completely different entities. The DAO and Splinterland, we want to make them two different entities, but there are a lot of things in common. There are same peoples on both sides. There are founders who are large stakeholders. There are people who are related. So these two entities, although we want to try to make them separate, they are not 100% separate. It is not going to pass in any court of law that we are completely unrelated. We are related. So if we are related and we have two coins, two tokens, and we are using one token, DEC is one, the only way you can make this work is without selling DEC for a stable coin, if you can buy SPS using the DEC. And that would be legal. That's what I'm trying to say. That would be considered market manipulation, because you own both coins. You are using one coin to push the value of other coin. That would be considered market manipulation. So we cannot sell DEC for SPS to push the price of SPS in any, and that would achieve the same goal. And Aggie mentioned it. Aggie mentioned it once, and Vaktis and I, we immediately said, and if you go to my post, the first comment that has a screenshot of Vaktis, and that is very eloquently put together, it is a response to Aggie. And I agreed on that response. I was there at the same time. And we said to Aggie that, no, we are not going to do that. If you even try to do that, we are out of this DAO. We are not going to be part of this DAO, because that would be considered market manipulation. So that's really not possible to do legally. We cannot buy SPS using DAC legally. That would be considered, that's a certain market manipulation. In every other way, if you want to diversify from DEC to another stable coin, you have to sell the DEC at the market right now. And that would be detrimental to the flywheel. So I am not saying we cannot do that. We can do that. We can do that, say 1 year in the future, where SPS is at 20 cents, we can certainly diversify into some USDC or UST or whatever else that you can think of.
So what is the most appropriate kind of order of operations in your opinion, Azircon? Do we continue to bide our time and just stack DEC and see, what
nothing.
Let the market with regards to SPS and
Yes.
kick the can of making a decision about that 1.3 billion DEC down the road?
Yes, absolutely. Do nothing. Yeah. Do nothing is the best option. And in future, what I think will happen, and Matt is of the same opinion, by the way. So Matt mentioned it very clearly in the last town hall. So many of us are of the same opinion, and that's the current consensus from the large stakeholders. So what will happen in future? I think there is another thought that comes in. Okay, how are we going to get more revenue for the DAO? Again, I am not really worried about revenue for the DAO. And if we are, as this pack sale progresses, and we have a lot of pack sale left for this set, right? It is going to go well into next year and probably towards the end of the year. I think Matt has the idea about this 9 months and 3 months kind of scenario, right? So the main pack sale will continue 9 months, and towards the tail end, there is going to be the mini set, and then there is not going to be any set in the last couple of months or tail ends of it, essentially. So whatever the next mini set comes in, I think the deal is going to be, again, very similar. We are going to get part of the revenue, and that would be the source of revenue. And the following full set, we are also going to get a part of the revenue. So that's our source of income for the DAO.
Just wanted to clarify then. So, you're not saying that we should take all this DC right now out of the DAO and burn it. You're saying instead of, it being actually burned, we're just kind of locking it up, we're staking it up.
Yeah.
To see what happens.
Which is effectively burned. So that is.
Well, I mean, it's not, though, because you can always get it back. I mean, you can
get it back
once it's actually burned. But I think that's a big, important distinction to make for people who say we should be able to get something out of, these proceeds. And so you're not saying, no, we need to be burned and we just need to drive SPS up. You're saying we can get something out of it, but maybe let's see what things look like a year or two down the road.
Exactly.
Before we even have that conversation about it, which I think makes a lot of sense to me. And I think, I think there is a distinction there, and that, kind of, what we say about it is important, because people hear burn and they're like, well, we're never getting that back.
Right.
It's just out the money. It's not, we're staking it, we're locking it up for, a while until we can kind of see how this progresses, which I think is, definitely the right way to handle it personally.
Yeah. And that's perfectly fine. That is that, that distinction is true. And, if you talk to Vaktis, if any day you talk to Vaktis, he will always be of the opinion is to burn it permanently.
Yeah.
And then his thinking is, then none of this matters. None of this arm waving and discussion matters anymore.
It's all
permanently gone. Yeah. It's all gone. It's out of the circulation, and it is never to be found. So it will never come back to the inflationary system again. Then he's from Jakarta. He is an inflation hog, just like me. So I'm an inflation hog myself. So Indonesia has a major problem with inflation, right? So that's always, if you have a currency that you have to carry like a stack of, and your bills are 100,000. So Indonesian rupiah is like 100,000, 200,000. That's the minimum denominations that you are going to use. That gives you a completely different perspective in life, I think, and I respect that.
Cool. So for all intents and purposes, it's consider it burned. It's not burned.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, we had you on a couple of weeks ago, Azircon, and we were talking about Rebellion and if it's going to be as much fun as you think it should be, if it's going to be as powerful of a set as you hope that it will be. What's your take? How impressed or unimpressed have you been with the new Rebellion cards?
I am very impressed. I like it. I
Attaboy.
really like it. Weapons training, right? That's the main thing. Weapons training with Grimbardo Smith. So that is the main play. I'm playing a lot of water. I put the neutral open weapons trainer at the number 2 position. I put Grimbardo Smith and Bagzira on either side of it. And man, it's a winner every time. Every time it's the winner. So there is no way to beat it except I actually shared it during town hall. Bulldog played the exact same gameplay against me, which is what I've been describing. Weapons training with Bagzira. But there is a counter to that. So let me give you the scoop. Now that everybody knows and everybody playing it, the counter to that would be stun or poison and affliction. So you land an affliction on Bagzira, and then you try to stun and poison it. Blight does it. If you have another stunner with Blight, that does it. And that's the only way to beat that team.
I feel like that team bodes really well for Yasik teams.
Yeah.
The scatter shot is another great way around. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I run into Lily, Grimbardoon, Moxian Rebel, and another weapons trainer, whether it's that other the 4 mana dragon legendary. She is just awesome. She is such a great support unit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Moxian
the scatter
Rebel
shot
is the best. Moxian Rebel being neutral as a weapon trainer, only 4 mana. It's the best. The trouble
and a rare. It's the only non-legendary weapons trainer.
Yeah. So if you do not have it max hep, or BJ, I mean, I think you already have it maxed, or you play champions, right, BJ? You play champions?
Yeah. I'm staring at you on the leaderboard, Azircon. I'm a few points behind you.
Okay, so you have it maxed already, I'm guessing. One way or
level
the
7.
other.
Level 7.
Okay.
Close enough. Yeah.
Close enough. So yeah. So you need it maxed. You need it maxed. That's a staple these days. Yasek, the only thing countering that team with Yasek will work on a mid to high mana battle, but on the low mana you cannot play Yasek, right?
Yeah.
Yasek is 6, so you cannot play Yasek. Let's say if it is a 18 mana, 14 mana, something like that, and you cannot do it at all. So yeah, that's the downside. So Blight is your answer. Blight and another stunner. If you have a stunner, any stunner will do. So you got to land a stun, got to land an affliction, land a poison, and that's the only way to deal with it.
They were talking about a press, and a press is the clear answer to weapons training. It's bugged for now. It doesn't actually inflict the double damage on the non-attacker. So I think I'm hoping that's at the top of things to rectify once the team gets back from break, because it's fun when you dominate with a team like that. It's not fun when it's the same teams battling against one another. And a press was clearly designed to be the counter to weapons training. So yeah, I hope that gets fixed. I think the foreseeable future, the meta is definitely going to be weapons training. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, getting that value back to a press is going to be a big step to stabilizing what the meta is going to look like with Rebellion.
Yeah, so it's great fun. I think it has changed the gameplay for the better. But again, people are going to get a hang of it pretty quickly, and then people are going to discover all of this pretty quickly, and then it is going to be relatively level playing field. I am doing pretty good right now because I have everything maxed, but I don't think I will do as good pretty soon. Like, I think my good stint will probably last a week, maybe this season, but it is going to taper down pretty quickly. So yeah, it's not going to. People will figure out, and they will get the cards, and which is fine, which is the way you want. That's the ideal solution. However, in terms of price, oh boy, I think it's expensive. It is very, very difficult to get your money's worth or money back anytime soon, right? Because these cards, you cannot put them on land, so you only have to play with it. And they are expensive for a good reason, but I spent $40,000 on this set. So I got, the 5, right? So 23 times, 11,000 essentially, right? 11,000 packs I bought. That's $40,000.
Yeah.
There is no way I am going to get $40,000 back anytime soon. That is sunk again. Another sunk
forward
cost.
economics, bro.
Point forward economics, sunk cost. That
Well,
is
if you're
sunk
getting
cost.
because you're getting like 1,000 SPS a day in battle rewards, right?
That's right. But I was getting pretty close to it even without it, even before
Okay.
that, right? So the incremental benefit is probably 100 SPS. So 100 SPS for $40,000, that is no math. If you always, you got to always follow Vaktis, because he's a bright financial mind. So Vaktis only bought 3,000 packs, and he always said, "Why would I want to do that? I mean, I can always buy SPS from the market," and he's right.
Yeah.
There is no reason to really ape into this at all, other than just you want to, or you feel a responsibility towards your scholars, which I do. I mean, I have a couple of scholars, and I have to give them a max deck. So yeah, but otherwise, financially speaking, there is no reason to get 10,000 packs of Rebellion. You are better off buying from the market.
Yeah.
Buying from the market. Yes.
Cool.
Have there been any cards that have surprised you in terms of fun factor, utility? Let's exclude Mantaroth and Grimbardoon. I think those two, hands down. Mantaroth, I think he's got to take the cake for me as the most fun card in the game. That armored strike with blast and true strike is it's so much fun to just wipe teams out. So let's exclude the two neutral big boys, and let's talk about the rest of the set. Is there one or two cards that you've kind of earmarked as favorites?
Moxian Rebel, it has to be.
Okay.
I reach for that like almost every game I can reach for. I mean, that is right now as a rare. I think that is severely underpriced. People are not really getting into the actual hang of it. So if you haven't maxed it, max it right now. I'm just telling you.
It's expensive, man. It's
like 250 BCX, and the gold foils. I got like a level 4 got to a level 4 gold foil like very early when it was still like $5 or $6 per gold foil, because I'm like, I'll get it with camo, and then the little extra speed is, it's nice to have, but I'm not in health, but like, playing at gold level, I'm like, I really just want the weapons trading, and having the camo is nice. So, but then now it's like, I think it's like the gold foils are like $15-$16 a BCX. It's crazy.
Well, gold foil, if you need gold foil, that's a different thing. But just for playing purposes,
Yeah.
you got to max that is not going to come down. That is not going to come down.
I got the level 4 gold foil because it was cheaper at the time to get 2 gold foils, cheaper than it was to get to level up the regular foil. So.
Well, I lucked out on day one. We talked about it just before Rebellion had come out. I told you very clearly I wasn't buying Rebellion packs. I was planning on picking up e-cards from the market. I managed to get a good chunk of Moxian Rebels for like 60 cents.
Wow.
So I beat the market to that one, and I don't think it's come below $2 since day one, pretty much.
You are set. You got it at level 7, for all practical purposes, it's maxed. Max it just because you want to, right? So, what is the difference between 7 and 8? Let me check. I mean, I do not know what's the.
It's 1 HP.
Double, right? Yeah.
1 HP and no other ability, right? So there is no change in ability. Okay, well then you are set.
Yeah.
Unless you get into 1 HP matches, which is actually quite common at high champion leagues. It's quite common. One of those days you are going to lose one match because of 1 HP, and the following minute you are going to buy it.
I'm gonna have to go drop $60 to max it out.
Regardless of the price, you are going to do, because it hits you. It hits you in the head, right? Because it hits your psyche that, man, I did not do that and I lost because of 1 HP. And that would be your thing.
So as much as I'm enjoying, and I got to first and foremost say, I am thoroughly enjoying Rebellion. I think it's exactly what the game needed. I think a lot of it is Untamed leaving and this new meta coming in, and it's tough to gauge, how much is attributable to each part of that equation. But all in all, I think Rebellion has been a huge success as far as the fun factor, the gameplay. I think the tactic summoners are just awesome. It's so much fun having that second layer of decision making. My one stink with Rebellion, and it's not necessarily a stink, but I think the team could have done a better job with. I feel like, the Moxian Rebel is a perfect example. At that top level, it's 1 HP. And I feel like a lot of the monsters, they kind of peak at, 1 or 2 levels before max. And then, it's maybe an armor, maybe a 1 damage. There's very few monsters that get a clutch ability at the top level of the game, which, I kind of feel like Call Me Tim may have shot himself in the foot there a little bit. But, there's going to be those guys that are completionists. There's going to be those guys that have that 1 HP match and they're like, God damn it, I need to go buy that max copy, and that's never going to happen again. But what's your thought on that, Azircon? Do you feel like there was a little bit of a missed opportunity there?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, absolutely agree. So you want that last level from the 7 to 8, that final level, to be a really important ability or something that makes a difference, because you want people to max the card, right? Matt always says that, right? Every town hall, whenever we talk about stats, Matt always says, I always want people to move up in the game on every aspects. I want cards to be max, guilds to be max, land, systems to max. There should always be higher reward for something to max. So there should not be any incentive. There should never be a higher incentive on staying lower than going a level up. There should never be in a game. And I am a big believer of that. And I think it is. What you said, that clutch ability at the last level is critical. So yeah, it's opportunity lost.
Yeah. On that note, somebody called out in the town hall, I don't know if either of you guys caught it, but the Barash Kukur, the death legendary 13 mana, the big guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big guy.
So somebody called that exact predicament out in that, it feels, I think that guy just gets, he gets 1 shield and 1 health at going from level 3 to level 4. He's got all of his abilities at gold level at level 3. And Matt said exactly what you just stated. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but it sounded like he was going to make a case with Nate to call me Tim to adjust that and reassess what's available to this guy at the top level. So we might see a change to this card.
Yeah, Barash Kukur. Yeah, the only difference between level 3 and level 4 is 1 health. And that is sad. For a powerful 5 magic attacker, that's
13 mana.
Sad.
13 mana.
13. Yeah, that's sad. So I mean, this is an easy opportunity to improve and fix. Yes, and I think there are a few more. There are a few, for something like a rebel, which is a rare card, but man, the amount of usage I'm getting for Moxie and Rebel, and it's sad that it's just 1 health again at the max level.
Yeah. She is crazy efficient though. That 4 mana, you toss a Chaos Agent and one of the non-attackers, you get 6 magic damage for 7 mana. That's crazy.
It's as good as Blight these days. I mean, since it is neutral, you can field it with any magic neutral. It's almost as versatile as Blight. Blight is probably the one card I have used the most. Like it is almost impossible to not to choose Blight in a team.
Even in the big mana matches.
Even in the big mana matches, you probably want to place Blight somewhere. I have lost so many games not choosing Blight. And I have seen, especially large mana like 60, 54 mana games, it's hard to place Blight, right? Because, then you have to balance it with something else that is extremely high mana. And, I just missed out and I did not balance and my opponent did. And almost every occasion wins. Almost every occasion.
Especially now that we've got so many taunts that are backline taunts. If you can stick that affliction, it's pretty much game over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the common, like against weapons training. That's the easy answer. If you expect the opponent, like for example, if I ever play you, I know you are going to try and do a weapons training. So I'm going to predict that, right? That's how the game goes. I'm going to try and predict it. So I'm going to try to counter it. I'm not going to play weapons training with you because I know you are going to play weapons training. So that's what I did with Bulldog. So Bulldog, that's a very famous game. You should see that game. I mean, let's see if I can find that game and give it to you. Over. Yeah, send a link over. So I posted it into the town hall chat. Let me see if I can find it. Town hall. Where is the town hall?
So I think what you're saying, Azircon, is I just need to play to beat Bacteria and Grim Bardoon Smith every match, and I'll be okay.
Yes. So on the chat, I'm just it's a 17 mana game, so I am going to put it in our chat as a image first, so you can see the image. So and you can describe maybe the team. And
all right, so there we go. We got Bulldogs playing Bacteria up front, Moxie and Rebel, the Nymph, and then we have the Title Fiend in the back. So Azircon went with the not Ant Miners. What is the Amplitude?
Platoon.
Then we got the Marks Rat, the Gablano. Which Gablano is that?
The sneaker, whatever his name is.
The sneaker, the ambush, the Gablano ambush.
Rebellion.
Yes.
Torch Fiend, and then Dr. Blight in the back.
Did Blight win the match?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Nice.
Yeah, there's the link of the battle, I think. So you can
Well, if he had played Grimbardian though in there, I wonder
it's
A
a
different story.
17 mana game, right? It's a 17 mana game. So it's a risk of playing Grimbardian, right?
yeah. Because you were doing you do 1, 2, 4. I don't know, because you do 4 damage to him, and you'd be able to heal. What's Grimbardian's heal at that level?
Grimbardian doesn't heal, right?
He's just
Grimbardian
repairing.
doesn't heal.
The Mordalian Guardian would heal him though.
Right, but it doesn't.
There's the sneak
here,
though.
Yeah, but remember why?
Oh, right,
like
yeah.
Bulldog could have played Grimbardian, but he played Bagzira is double heal, right?
Mhm.
Bagzira heals itself, and the mermaid is healing it. So
Yeah, I feel like Blight is a no-brainer in those small mana matches.
Yes.
Blight he's so good. Oh man.
So,
all right.
Yeah, so he played it on purpose. He could have played Grimbardian, but he played it on purpose. He wanted to play Bagzira because of the double heal and the bigger health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, fun new era.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in it. All right, Azircon, a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you reaching out and asking to come back on. It's always good to get your insights and thoughts. And as always, I know everything that you do is kind of available in the public eye on the blockchain, but you take it a step further and put it front and center for folks here, and certainly appreciate that, man. Anything else you want to get off your chest, fellas, before we wrap it up?
Nope. I think we're good.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to share this with you, and I think we are all leaving our you do not get holidays, BJ, but we are getting into the holiday season. So I'm going to be gone. I know Hep, you are going to be gone in the weekend. So spend some time with friends and family. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to you both and your respective families. So I'm going to be in California.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So
good for you.
I'm going to be in Yosemite. So we are renting a small house outside the national park. So just at the bottom of Badger Pass. So I'll spend a week there. We love Yosemite. Kids love Yosemite, and we've been there many times. Winter is good there. We don't get any snow in Houston. Hopefully we'll get some snow there. So
nice.
Beautiful. That's a magical part of the country, man. Yosemite is it's pretty special.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the wishes, Azircon. You guys, both of you guys, be safe in your chat. Well, Hep, I'll speak to you in about 12 hours. We got another episode happening. But Azircon, hey, you'll have something to listen to on your travels. We got Tales coming on up next. All right, Azircon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, be safe, man. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll speak to you soon, Azircon. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. You have been listening to
People's Guild.